This is episode 25. We've got a special guest today with us, Toxiic, the EU Shift Summer League week number 1 MVP. Toxiic, how are you doing today?
I'm doing decent. How are you guys doing?
I'm well. Jens, you feeling all right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's
Michael.
great.
How's it going, everybody? I missed a week. I learned something actually, that because of the dominance of G2, that European teams actually put on their own tournament, some like the Euro Cup or something like that. I had the chance to go watch this EU only tournament final. Was able to go watch England lose, unfortunately. It was really sad as a United man myself. I was not great to watch my baby boy Kobe Manu get subbed off and the sub score the goal right away. But I'm excited to be back because we got a real English football in the building today. Mr. Toxiic. How's it going, boss? How you feeling?
I'm chilling. Just got some busy days with tourneys, but just at another moment, exciting and lost as well. But
That's right, a lot going on.
It's not my control.
We've got Shift Summer League. This is your first time experiencing league play, right?
Yeah, first time.
Yeah. And your first week, you've been dubbed the MVP. How does that feel?
Feels pretty good. I mean, I didn't really expect to be first on the stats. I was just playing the game like normal, but yeah, I mean, I'll take it. I'll take those.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's great to see what you can do with the team, and we're only a third of the way in. So I don't know. Where do you think you'll end up even?
Well, what do you mean? End up where, in the league table? Or?
Well, let's start here then. Were you surprised to find yourself the MVP and to be in the place where you are right now in the competition?
Hold on. Toxiic. Breezy says you're on your bad mic.
What?
You have the bad mic selected?
I bet you there's no bad mic.
But there might be.
He must be trolling.
Is he trolling?
Oh,
you only have
we
one
got
mic?
Oski now. Oski's also saying.
Yeah, they're definitely trolling.
Well, if Oski says it's definitely a troll, isn't it?
He said. Well, I'll tell you this. It's definitely not the highest quality mic. Is it possible for it to be?
I can try and check.
This is great. Tech problems. Lando, where are you?
Mr. Producer.
Is this better? Has this changed at all? Well, already.
I mean, that sounds okay. Yeah, when you let's see. So you click the settings cog in our room right here,
Yeah.
and then your audio source. Is that the correct one?
Wait, audio source. Oh wait, I'm on my webcam, Mike. There's no way.
There you go. There it is. There it is.
Right, let me.
Any of the? Does this sound better at all?
Oh, it's so much
That's very
different.
good.
Easy Oski, thank you, fellas. Thank you. Listen, this is UKRL, man. We keep they keep it clean here.
I love that. Breezy legend, save the stream.
There you go.
But yeah.
Okay, good stuff. Yeah, let's go back to where we were. So, you said you were a little surprised to find yourself week 1 EU MVP, playing your normal game. You're playing alongside Matane and Arju, who've been teaming for, a long time now. Mm-hmm. How has it been sliding in with those guys as their third?
I mean, I used to sub for them on Misfits 2-3 years ago, I reckon. So it was quite easy because I knew them before, and I'd say we had a decent split. We missed one regional, but we also made a top 8, which was my first top 8. So it was all right. Yeah, it was a decent first split with them. And
in terms of obviously Endpoint, the roster, everyone kind of expected that you guys would be in the league, but especially obviously before we knew that there weren't going to be some of the top teams playing, everyone kind of assumed you guys would qual, but then you got invited. Yeah. But I think a lot of people saw you as a fringe playoff team, within that 4 to 8 range. For you personally, I know you probably didn't feel that way. So going into this was, going 4-2 those first 2 days, taking, the prohibited favorite, and beating them early in the tournament. How has it been? Do you guys, is this what you thought you were going to do? Or did you think it was going to be a little more of a scrum than it has been in Europe, where a lot of teams are doing quite well?
I mean, it's been an interesting one. Like, there's been quite a few like upsets, I feel like, but that's just like off-season tourneys.
Yeah.
I'd say like a lot of different teams are just surprising the better teams, which we've also maybe lost to arguably worse teams. Like, it's just how it is. Like, it's hard to go flawless in a league play, I feel like.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean that's kind of how league play works, right? You don't really need to win every game to get to where you want to be.
Mm-hmm.
You just need to win more than you lose.
Basically, yeah.
Wise words. So yeah, kind of going back to what we were talking about with this being your first league play. You started kind of playing as a pro, right? Like kind of as league play ended. So it wasn't like you were gonna, you weren't around for that era. How has it been in terms of like the flow and like how you're practicing? Is it different than the open circuit, and do you like it more? Do you like it less? Like, what are your kind of thoughts now that you've had a week settled into this sort of longer, more, I guess, maybe forgiving, but also one that's a lot more, you're likely to lose to maybe teams you might not lose to in an open format?
I mean, league play just forces you to play consistent on every day. And then like if you're not consistent, you'll like drop games against like the lower teams. But I mean, practice just basically stays the same, grinding, playing scrims. It's just basically the same. It's just a different format, but it's fun to play because I haven't played it before. So
let me follow up with this then. Do you guys, and you've said it's basically the same, so I'm guessing I know the answer here, but do you guys treat it any different because you know who you're going to play on Monday or Tuesday? You know who you're going to play on Wednesday. Whereas, when you roll into Swiss on RLCS day one, your first round matchup, but then from there you have no clue. So do you guys kind of game plan at all? Do you maybe watch some of those scrims, or maybe a coach does? Does that change any of your preparation process?
I mean, no, we just kind of went in there and just like, if we play better, we'll just beat them. That's all we've done.
Sure.
But me personally, like, I'll just like look at the team that we're playing against, and like, you kind of know what to expect from a lot of players, but the like lower type of players is kind of harder to read. But I think we played like most of the top 6 teams in the tournament in the league play so far. So we still got to play like the 3 lowest ones, just off the rankings there. So
yeah,
I'll look forward to that tomorrow. So
yeah. And then I guess in terms of the confidence now, like we talked about, you guys thought you're going to come in and dominate, but you come in and like you said, you play a bunch of games. It's an off-season tournament. Things can get weird. It's different team comps, new teams. Do you guys feel more confident now than you were at the beginning, or is it just par for the course? We're going to come and we're going to dominate. We're all good to go.
I mean, I didn't know what to expect going into this, so like I don't know. It gives me more confidence because obviously we've beaten the better team. So realistically, we should win more series now than like we are expecting to. Yeah, I don't really know what else to say about that.
Have there been any teams that surprised you when you played them, for better or worse, that you were like, damn, I didn't think they were going to come out like this? Or has it been mostly the same quality as the main RLCS times you played them?
100%. Like they're a really strong team right now. They've just been like dominating like crazy. I feel like, especially against us, we literally couldn't get the ball. They were just bumping us. It's so hard to play against. But Rozex's team also surprised me. I can't remember what their team name is. They were pretty good as well. Yeah, they're really good. But they're the only teams we've lost to at the moment.
And from a viewer perspective, it seems like Endpoint has this rivalry with Resolve, right? Do you feel that way as well? Because you're playing them tomorrow as this is live, the second round of the Tuesday.
I say it's like a lot of people think it's bigger than it actually is. Like after it got made out on Twitter, like it was quite big, but it's kind of just, I don't know, it's just a little team beef.
Yeah,
I mean,
I can imagine it's fun to have the British orgs kind of go up against each other, right?
Of course.
See, here's the thing: you guys need to lean into that, amp it up. Make it seem like it's bigger than it really is.
Only when he wins, of course.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Well, speaking of the British orgs, one of the things that we want to talk about was obviously there was a lot of talk about the teams that weren't playing in the Shift Summer League, but we talked about it on this show that we wanted to talk more about the teams that were, and more the fact that we hear about this all the time. People love to talk about the Europe's depth, but sometimes it seems like it's kind of in bad faith, where it's like they're just saying that to shit on other regions. Excuse my language. I think with this tournament, you're actually seeing that this isn't just like a talking point, that these are all very strong teams. And so I kind of wanted to get your opinion on that, where like, do you feel like just watching and playing that it's kind of just reiterating the fact that Europe we've seen the top French teams at all these lands the last year and a half, but there really is a ton of talent. And, those top teams that are at the top, they could lose. I mean, they have lost to these teams all the time. Like, how do you feel like this has kind of shown the quality, the top-down quality of Europe, being able to play all these matches instead of just going out 0-3 in Swiss or 1-3 in Swiss?
Well, because I think in this one you play each other twice, don't you? So like you're gonna get more chances to play against the good teams, and like qualifiers aren't easy as well. Like there's some teams which didn't even make it, like Bellegoal, Fast Forward.
Oh yeah.
Like they didn't make it because there's just quite a bit of depth in EU. So I guess like also with it not being RLCS, there's I guess in a sense less pressure. So like the players will probably play better, like the lower ones, and then they'll like end up taking games off the top teams.
To build on that point, I think there's also like maybe a little bit less pressure in the fact that you have 3 more weeks.
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
Right, like when you qualify for your RLCS event, all you've got is this Friday, and maybe it's only 3 games, but this right here, once you've made it in, you're for sure going to get double round robin, like you said, 2 chances at every single team. So it probably allows some of those players that may have more nerves and may not be as experienced at that level to kind of settle in and maybe play a little bit better than they would outside of RLCS. You guys have any more Shift Summer League questions? If not, I've got some questions I'm curious to hear Toxiic's opinion on.
Well, we're talking about this double round robin where you're facing every other team twice. Are you looking for revenge when you're losing a series, like for example to 100% or something like that?
Yeah, you definitely want to play them again. Just get that one up on them, especially the second time round. Because then if you head into playoffs and play them again, you have, I guess, the edge maybe.
Yeah, so, and it becomes a grudge match, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
I got one.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking
square
about.
up now. Yeah, totally.
On the other side, to be careful for Oxygen and Lily Galaxy. That's right. They want to have that revenge of you.
Yeah, they will for sure. But especially when you're friends with the players.
Yeah. Is it fun, like going up against like Oxygen? Obviously, you have relationships with the guys on that team. Beating them the first time, like, are you looking forward to playing them again? Like, beat them a second time, really just rub it in.
It'll be fun. I mean, we'll see how it goes, but yeah, no, I'm looking forward to it.
Love it.
That's funny. Well, man, incredible performance throughout the first week of Shift Summer League. I'm excited to see you guys take the field again. I wanted to ask you, so for the people that are maybe didn't watch, Fear hosted an anonymous 1v1 tournament, and Toxiic was one of the players. He filled in last moment for somebody that had to drop out on the NA servers. And did you only have 1 match?
No, I had 2.
2 matches, okay.
Yeah.
But I want to ask you about Vulcan. So anyways, the tournament unfolded. They all had just bought Rocket League usernames, Vulcan, Merc, whatever. And so the players didn't know who they were playing, and the fans didn't know who was on both sides, right? And Fear fielded answers from the chat. He fielded answers from each player, guessing who was one another. And it was revealed that the player that everyone across the board thought was First Killer was actually Appjack. And I was certain it was First Killer as well. And I know Toxiic was in the stream watching the reveal, and he said something to the lines of like, you don't know how shocked I am. I can't believe this.
Yeah.
Like, Fear said that Toxiic even sent his message like halfway through the game and was like, this is definitely First Killer. So talk to me a little bit about that experience, like playing an anonymous player versus kind of having that preconceived notion. Like when you load in against Raziers or you load in against NAS, you know these players' tendencies, you're thinking about your past games, etc. What is it like when you load in versus someone and you don't have any idea who it is?
Well, for example, like the first round I played AJ, and I could just see him like wave dashing, like zap dashing everywhere. I could just tell, like, yeah. So like in my head, like I know, like I kind of know how he plays, because like when you're a top 1s player, you just know how each other plays.
Well, you guys keep playing each other.
Yeah, exactly. Even like across servers, like you just know.
Right.
But then like with Jack, I was so convinced it was First Killer. Maybe like I went back on the stream the first day and checked, and like I think the whole chat thought it was First Killer as well, so maybe that played on my mind.
Sure.
So like I went into that series thinking I was playing First Killer or Daniel or something. And bro, he had like the best control, like everything. He's just doing perfect. I couldn't believe it. Like I actually felt unbeatable.
Watching it to me, it looked like it was a player that leaned heavily on pace and like powerful touches, striking it when maybe you're not expecting a power shot. And he would just, he scored multiple times from past the halfway line. And I feel like that's just such a first killer thing to do, is outspeed you and then just hit the ball with unbelievable power. And I was the same way. I felt so. There was two that I thought for sure I knew. I thought Vulcan was first killer, but I think it was Samurai. It ended up being Swift, but I thought Swift was AJ, and it was for the same stuff. It was like wave dashing.
Yeah.
The way that he moves around looked very similar to AJ. But I thought that was so funny because even the players were struggling to guess one another, except for a couple that are just very obvious in their style.
Yeah, just quickly. So what did you expect? What if I'm because I obviously suck at the game. How do you why you said the guy, like the Jack was playing with a lot of pace. He was just booming the ball. What do you expect? Like what was the difference? Because I mean, if I loaded in against both of them, it'd be 13-0 before I could blink. So I don't really know. But like, what's the Jack play style? Does he have a really unique one?
I mean, with Jack, like he just like plays really smart. He doesn't really overcommit. Like he'll just play for a lot of 50s, which the Vulcan did do, but I didn't really pick up on it. But yeah, it was just the amount of times he was going in the air. Like I was like, there's no way this is Jack. It has to be first killer. There's just no way, because he was actually like scoring flip resets and everything. And I'm not like no to Jack, but I think that's just what first killer does.
Yeah. Do you think he's been poisoned by being in the lobby with him all the time?
Maybe learn a few things.
Yeah.
He's like, do you think Jack's trying to mix it up to get?
Yeah, 100%, 100%. Yeah. Nobody knew it, literally.
Right.
He's probably played 1,000 times against first and just thought, you know what? I'm just gonna go play first ball today because why not?
Maybe first killer played on his account.
Investigate him.
Imagine drama.
Okay, final question though. Do you think Jack needs to hop on Octane?
Yes, he does. When he was like coming up and actually becoming like really good, he was on Octane.
Yeah.
He switched, but I mean, he won a major in Fennec, sure.
Yeah, that's why.
But he should definitely try and go back.
I can't imagine the type of placebo you'd have if you won a major on any
that's
card.
fair. That's fair.
You know,
all these players were on like brand new accounts that they didn't want like friends having linked up between alt accounts or something. So they didn't have the Fennec. All they had was like the 3 default cars. And so of course everyone was rocking the Octane. But yeah, Jack was definitely balling out. He played really well. I did want to ask you about that because you're right. Like the whole chat, everybody, we were all so confident that it was FK, the way he was moving and even like you're saying, like the decisions to go for certain styles of plays felt very much like FK.
I'm still shocked now.
What did you say?
I'm still shocked now. It's crazy to me. Like actually.
So there's also an EU version going on. Obviously, Toxic's not going to share any information about that. That would ruin it. But there's an EU version going on now. So if any of y'all are interested in something like that, Fear's been broadcasting those over the past, I guess he started today and it will continue over the next day or two. So y'all can tune into that. I love that. I think that's a really cool idea. What do you think about, I see someone in the chat here saying like anonymous 2s or 3s turning. What do you think about that? Is that just too many players? It's too chaotic? Maybe it doesn't hit the same? Because I thought this was great content.
I think it could work. It's also fun to play because, like, I feel like there'd be certain few people which you could tell. Like if it's Zen, you could just tell. I feel like.
Sure.
But yeah, it depends on the players that play it, and also like you might just find some like underrated duos in there.
Yeah. That's
another good concept to try.
That's another thing he talked about was like when you do the anonymity thing, even the community removes all your preconceived notions and your biases. Right, you're just watching this car, and so you're either really impressed by a player that is maybe a not so big name. Fear referenced like the first time he did it, Diaz was very impressive and not many people knew who Diaz was at the time. And obviously Abjack's a very decorated player at this point, but I think even now people were impressed by his run. So I think that's a good point as well.
I feel like there's other esports where like pro players will like purposely do that. I feel like in more like strategy based ones.
Sure. Yeah.
They'll like just have burners to like work on whatever strategies they have, so that other people don't know it's them. So they can't just get intel on like high level lobbies. And I always wonder if that was going to come to Rocket League because it's true. Like if Jack just was playing like first killer on a fake account for 3 weeks, he could pull up to a ones tournament, play like that, and everyone would be like, why? Like, what happened? Why is he doing that? Like, he's not playing like he used to, but he's had weeks. Do you think that'll ever happen, Toxic, that you'll have players actually going so far as to not like let people know who they are in ranked, or do they love their skins too much? Do they love the decals?
No, I don't think it would ever go that far. I think people just don't really care as much to do that in this game. Maybe in other games. I don't really know about other games, but
it also is partly what you're talking about, where it's like Rocket League is so execution oriented rather than strategy based. You know, it's not like there's like 5 layers of tactics that you're rolling through, you know, for this certain thing. It's just like this player is doing X and you know, are they executing well or not? So it may not be as beneficial here. All right. Well, hey, unless you guys have any other questions, we'll let Toxic roll up out of here.
Yeah, I got one. Toxic, what's Endpoint's final record in the Shift Summer League gonna be? You're at 4-2 right now.
4-2 right now.
Going off of that, I'll say we lose 6. And I don't even know how many wins there is. I can't even be bothered.
No, win 12.
Wait, 12, yeah.
My brain is broken.
Is it 12?
Right.
Yeah, 12, yeah. 12 and 6.
Well,
which we should make playoffs with that.
Oh, you'll be like 3 or 4 seed. Dude.
Yeah,
You'll be chilling, man.
Yeah, I'll say 12 and 6.
All right.
You've played quite a couple of teams now. Who do you think like is your biggest rival at the moment?
Rival? Probably 100% because I want to beat them so bad again.
The revenge arc. I love that.
Yeah.
Not even Oxygen or Luna Galaxy. I like it.
One more thing from the chat. I don't know if you've been watching the North American one, but any teams stick out to you from NA? Not like that's the best, but just what team maybe you're like, damn, like they kind of surprised me there.
Has Incorrect been a team that's been doing pretty good recently?
Yeah.
I think I saw them do well, yeah. Yeah, they're quite exciting to watch. They beat Gen G, didn't they?
That's right.
Yep, they beat Gen G.
And Wonder Mike went crazy.
Yeah. I'm also I'm happy for Memory. Doing well too.
Yeah, rocks, dude. Old man still got it, I guess. Old man at what, 23? Younger than me.
Old man, jeez, bro. Chill.
No, but it's fun. That's what I love about this league stuff is it's like, you know, you don't get this usually because people like you never play with your sub when it matters so much, but it's like now you can be like, oh, we went 3-3 and we're getting 2-piece back. Like if you're a fan, you're like, we're getting it's like when one of the top players for your team comes back after they've been playing pretty well.
Memory only turned 22 in January. What an unk.
What an unk. We got one final question here from the chat. Oski RL, he asks, do you think you will be able to beat the team on top of the league, aka Oxygen Esports?
I'll make sure we will. Of course.
Let's go.
Of course. Of course they will. Oski, Toxic, thank you so much for carving some time out for us today. Congratulations on MVP for the first week. That's awesome stuff, man. Best of luck for the remainder of Shift Summer League. Before you get out of here, we're going to turn the floor over to you. If you want to say, any plugs, any shout outs or anything at all, go ahead and do so now.
Just go follow my Twitter and TikTok at ToxicRL. Thank you very much for having me.
Go follow the Twitter and TikTok at ToxicRL. Legend. Thank you, boss. All right, Michael, what have you done here? What is going on? Talk to us.
Listen. For about, 4 months, 5 months last season, all we did was recap, preview. Boring. So we're finding new ways to talk about what happened last week. And the first thing we're doing is it's summertime.
Yep.
It's about 90 degrees Celsius, 30 degrees Fahrenheit every day. And you know what that reminds me of being a youngin' and going to summer school. So I'm taking Jens and I'm taking Hootie to summer school with me, and we are going to grade some performances from teams across the Shift Summer League this season. All right.
Okay.
So let's get right into it, shall we? Let's talk about Gen G. Now, Gen G, noted, powerhouse contender, world champ contender, maybe the best team in North America. Who knows? But they did not have a smashing debut in the Shift Summer League. They did say that they had taken a little bit of a break.
Yeah.
Got back to practicing just a couple of days before, so we have to allow that. But they did lose some teams you don't expect them to lose to. Incorrect, right? Now listen, Incorrect's a very good team. They got some good players. Maybe didn't get their shot. All right, such as Wonder Mike, who just raided us. Thank you, Wonder Mike, for the raid. But they did get a really quality win over RMC, XLG, Red Bulls Magic Cheese. They finished off their day with 2 strong performances. However, you know how it works in school, man. In school, you could take AP classes, advanced classes, you could take academic classes, you could take applied classes, right? College, university, whatever. Gen G's an AP student. Gen G is on the honor roll. They're trying to get into Harvard. They're not here to just go to a university, get a good job. They're trying to be summa cum laude or whatever you say, right? And it's harder to get good grades in those classes. And I got to grade them based on the merits that I know they have. And they just didn't give me that. So I'm giving them a D+. I need to see a little bit more. You're supposed to be competing against the best teams in the world in a month or two to go play in the World Championship. That's not going to cut it. We need to step up a little bit more. I think they will, but listen, what happened, and it wasn't good. So I'm giving them a D+.
A D+. Okay. Jens, what are you thinking? Jens?
Can you hear me now?
There he is.
Yeah, we're so bad.
Oh, awesome.
I mean,
all right, right back to it. Jens, let's give
there we go. I need to throw in some student protests over here.
oh God.
I'm rebelling against this awful system that somehow still stands in the United States of America.
And Canada.
And the UK.
Yeah, so all the important
countries. Are you supposed to grade tests with letters? Who in their right mind has a list of questions or a list of topics to cover or anything that's to do with grading, lists them all up, gets a total score, and then converts it into letters?
Terrible.
Hello, what are we doing over here? The most normal system is out of 10. I can allow out of 20. Okay. A lot of universities somehow seem to do that. But out of 10 makes the most sense. So here we go. Gen G, indeed, are on that honors roll. We do have honors too. And they might be going for cum laude, but they're not getting even close to that if they continue like this. Where I'm from, the 1 is the lowest mark you can score, the 10 the highest. So you always get like a 1 just basically for writing your name correctly on the paper. So a 5.5 is a passing mark. Anything above that, it's rounded up to 6, of course, is a passing mark. But Gen G don't deserve more than a 5 from me. It's that bad.
Ooh.
They need to step it up.
All right, well, here's what I got to say. I think both of your grading scales are trash. We've got the new and improved ideal system that Rocket League has introduced. Good, great, and amazing.
The fence sitter has found his fence sitting scale.
Amazing. I mean, good.
This is incredible. But here's the thing. All right, we're talking about, this is the summer league. We're giving out some grades. Gen G maybe had a little bit too much fun in their summer, in their vacation. They didn't prepare for their first day back at school. And the results showed. It was a very, very poor showing for a team of that caliber. They did regain a bit on the back half, at least in day 2. But they had some inexcusable losses. And I think they would agree. So the best that I can give them is a good rating on the scale of good, great, and amazing.
Fabulous.
Well, now that we've made things as confusing as possible for audio listeners, let's move on to the next team. And we can be a little, this team is maybe the opposite of Gen G in terms of the form. Is Dignitas. All right. This is not, I know there's been about roughly 74 different iterations of the Dignitas roster in the last calendar year. But this version brings core members, Evo and Arsenal, with C9's Zenil, or formerly C9 Zenil. He played under the Cloud9 banner in the RLCS season. And they had a great first week, finishing 4-2. I believe they're sitting pretty in second place, so in a bye position right now. Getting really, really quality dubs over teams like G2, over teams like I believe they lost to RMC. They beat RMC. No, they lost RMC. But they got good dubs. And you know what? This is the exact opposite. This is a team I think everyone thought was just going to come in. I don't think they were a lock for a lot of teams to make the league from the play-in based on just what had happened with the roster and what's going on with Evo and Arsenal, and Zenil's just playing with them on short notice. But man, they have looked fantastic. I'm loving Arsenal in a striker role. He's averaging 1.17 goals per game. Good for second in the league. Now, this is Mr. First Man himself, but he's turned into a shooter. And then I think the play style of Zenil, who's quite defensive, really works well with two more kind of pace-pushing players. Reminds me a little bit of the Luna Galaxy comp from last season with Tox sitting back chilling while Chronic and Atomic would get after it. So I was really impressed by them. I thought they looked fantastic. I'm going to give them an A, an easy A. And I think that they've really established themselves as a team that can contend for a bye in the playoffs.
There you go. I mean, I wholeheartedly agree, especially because of the caliber of teams they've come up against, right? Mm-hmm. It's this Dignitas squad that you'd expect to be somewhere in that mid-range, perhaps. But they've managed to close out a decent number of series. They didn't get the win against Incorrect, but Incorrect came off a win against Gen G, so can't really blame them for that one. That's how you score a 10 in my book. If they would have gotten that dub, but they didn't, so it's a 9 for me.
I'm pretty similar. I've got them rated as amazing, and here's the reason why. I think when you consider, similar to what we said about Gen G, when you consider the context, like Michael mentioned, it's kind of a last moment thing here with Zenil and Evo. I mean, at the end of the season was on the bench. So, these guys throwing them together and kind of trying things out. And that's what's going to happen throughout the offseason. You're going to try out some different rosters and shuffle things around and see what works. But this so far has seemed really incredible. I mean, you outlined, they do have a couple losses. They have a Game 5 loss to Reddle's Magic Cheese. They lost in 4 to Incorrect. But those inconsistencies, I'm not going to say, you just ignore them. But that's to kind of be expected when you have a newer roster that you toss together. They've got some great wins, and they've played some really good Rocket League, so I think I'll throw them an amazing rating.
All right, well, let's move on. We're gonna switch a little bit over to Europe here and talk about LXGX Cole, or Luna Galaxy Complexity, CRR, Atomic, and Tox. They played this week. They went 4-2. However, I don't know if you guys were watching the same team. Listen, all 4-2s, they're not built the same. It seems like in the Shift Summer League, they did what they had to do, and they deserved the flowers for doing what they had to do. But I felt like the amount of talent on the team and the amount of experience on the team, it didn't look like it was all coming together, and they were winning because the other teams weren't as good. They weren't a team that I walked away with feeling like they were exceptionally good at anything. They were just not losing. Like they were playing, they were not losing games. They weren't winning games. That makes sense. So I got them at a B-. I mean, you can get into a pretty good college with a B-, but you're not going to Yale. You're not going to Queen's University in Kingston, Ontario, like some of us. All right.
Right. So, I like what you said about they did what they needed to do. They are in second place in the ranking right now after week 1, but just one loss, and they can drop 3 to 5 places in the 10 teams in league play. So they are just ahead in terms of game differential, but in terms of what they actually showed on the field, what they did in the league, I mean, they're getting a passing mark. But this is the kind of team, in Dutch we call it a six culture. You don't do anything other than trying to pass. It's a six culture where you just zesjes culture. You don't do anything other than getting that pass mark. Nothing extra. Just coasting on what you know can get you a passing grade. And that seems to be what Luna, Galaxy, X Complexity, the first week, have been doing. But there's 2 more weeks in league play. There's playoffs that they will probably still quite, comfortably get into. So they have plenty of time to get rid of that six culture.
We've got a phrase over here. We say C's get degrees,
C's get degrees. Yeah. Listen, I lived by C's get degrees for 4 long years.
Me too. Yeah, I feel pretty similar. I mean, obviously, like Michael said, with the talent on that team, you kind of expect, and I think it's fair to, between them and Oxygen to be those top 2 teams. And they are. They are there at the top. But it certainly wasn't as clean as you would like. They've got a Game 5 loss to Endpoint and a Game 5 loss to Swadad. And those things are going to happen. You know, it's league play. You got a lot of matches. You're not going to be flawless, like we said earlier. But I do want to see a little bit more out of them. I'm going to give them a middle of the road grade with a great rating.
The most hooty hoo shit of all time, dude.
Mine is the worst. Great. By far.
Middle of the road.
Rating
great.
Scale's terrible.
All right, let's stay in Europe with one of the most interesting sort of form wise teams. Jobless. 3-0 day 1, 0-3 day 2.
Yeah,
right.
Now, what do you make of that? What I make of it is that it's league play. Listen, if you're a fan of a professional sports team or an esports team in franchising, you know, especially with these long ones like a baseball team or a basketball team, your team goes on streaks where they win and your team goes on streaks where they lose. And it's not really in those streaks where you learn what your team is. It's in that sort of middle ground when they're fighting to get wins and they're going up and down. That's kind of the level that they probably are. So I'm gonna hit them with a C, you know, and you know why? Because like Hootie said, C's get degrees. Look, they have barely a passing grade right now, being at 3-3, and they're still firmly in the hunt. And they've already shown us that they can be good enough to be a top 4 team and really compete for those buy spots at the top, which are quite important, right? It's a buy into, the top 6 or the top 4, and that matters. But I think I just don't know enough about this team to give them a high or a low grade yet. If they come out next week, they can go 3-0 again, or they can go 0-3 again. You know, I really don't know.
Yeah.
So I'm going to keep it at a C.
Jobless is a little bit of a mystery for me as well. I will bump them up to a 7. I'll say that right out of the gate. They have been losing to teams that you can expect them to lose against. They've been winning against teams that they should be winning against. Their loss against 100%, I think, is a little bit less forgivable. But yeah, it's they're in an average place. They're getting a 7 from me out of 10. But really have to see more from them to make up my mind for a final grade.
I'm going to give them the lowest grade on my scale of good. I expected more from this team. You know, we talked about Oxygen and Luna Galaxy Complexity being teams that you kind of expect towards the top. I think Jobless is right there as well, and same for Resolve. I think they're frankly lucky that they are not on this rating. But yeah, I mean, you add Nas to the equation. I think Nas is a fantastic talent. And then, you know, on the back of day 1, that led me to believe, hey, these guys are going to be contending for that number 1 and number 2 spot. And then they just kind of fell apart.
I mean, they could be.
And they could be, but they fell apart there in the second half. And so I would like to see a little bit better consistency, especially, I mean, you mentioned, you know, losing to Oxygen, but also in a 3-0 fashion, you know, 3-0 to 100% as well. And then they got 1 game off of Endpoint. So, you know, they're 1-9 on the day. That's not what I expect from that team. I want to see them do better. I think they could do better. So I got to give them the lowest grade at the moment.
We got to talk about it, man. What is up with Nas? That 4th series win, man. It happened again. 3-0, and then he just couldn't get a 4th series win.
Is that what it is? It's not Swiss or anything. It's just the 4th.
He won your 2v2 tournament. How many series did he have to win?
So here's the thing. As far as the consistency thing, day 1, him and Oli did not look very good. They did get the win, but they did not look very good.
And how many series did they had to play to win?
To win the tournament, they had to win 4.
No,
that's not right. That's not right. They had to win 3.
Yeah, I was right because I thought I looked at your bracket an hour ago.
Yeah, 3.
Nas, if you pay me 4 to 5 figures, I'll teach you how to win that 4th series.
4th series. I never would have thought it's a numerical thing.
Yeah, it's just a 4th series, not top
8. That's why numbers are so much better than letters.
I disagree. You don't talk in numbers, okay?
All right, buddy.
Anyway, let's finish this segment off with a team that was the talk of the town going into this tournament. Fun. Now, fun to me, Talk, T. Carell, and Nitrous, or sorry, now Xander.
For something.
Sorry? No, they're 1-5. They beat they beat Space Station. They beat Space Station in their opening match. To me, Jobless, Fun, the way I graded them is the opposite of Gen G, where it's like, Fun, maybe they've been slackers. Maybe they just just getting them to show up for school was a win back in the day, right? But
they've
now
been absent a lot lately.
Yeah, they've been absent a lot lately. They haven't been there. They've been prioritizing things, all that stuff. But watching them play that first week, they were very competitive. They got a win over a great team, a team that's currently top of the standings, would be undefeated if they didn't beat them. And they didn't look out of place. And I think when you looked at a lot of team predictions, whether it was through Cody's sheet or through the IFC, is that what it's called? Yeah.
Yep.
IFC tournament that you guys can actually go register now. If you go into our Twitter page, it'll be there.
Discord.
Sorry, Discord. It'll be there.
Yeah.
A lot of people had them going like 0-18 or like 1-17, and that listen, 1-17 still on the table. I'm not saying it's not, but the fact is that they've looked like they were in series, that they belonged in the Shift Summer League, where I think a lot of people thought that they had just kind of, one of their players had a peak day and now they're going to just lose. So to me, I'll give them a C+. I still can't give them like a B or an A because they won one series, but they got a really, really quality win. And they looked like a team that could have easily been like 3-3 or 2-4. It wasn't that they were getting shellacked in every match. So yeah.
I mean, I know the expectations are lower for a team like Fun, right? They're not coming in as one of the favorites. They're coming in as exciting prospects. They did make the play-ins, they went through the play-ins in the upper bracket, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
So they kind of did put some expectations on the table. And then there is one skill that they severely seem to be lacking, and that is closing out series. These are best of fives. They're not best of sevens. You can close out the series in 3 games. And even though they made some great plays, they, came out of the gates hot sometimes, they only managed to close out that first series win. If that's all they've gotten, and you just go 1-5, that's not a passing grade, even for a team like Fun. There's so much promise in that team, but they need to show it a little bit too. So that's a 5 for me.
I'm going to give them a middle of the road grade as well, with great. I think the 1-5 record, like Jens is describing, is it looks worse than it really is. They've got some wins. They've been competitive. A few of these series have gone to 5. They have definitely, in my opinion, performed at least a smidge above expectations. I've been excited to watch them play, and I think, in general, there were not many people thinking that they were going to win 4 or 5 series. I think for the most part, people thought that the Fun squad and the Incorrect squad are probably going to be on the lower side of things. And both, while obviously Incorrect has gotten a couple more wins, both I think have shown, like Michael said, that, hey, they belong here. They may not get the same amount of wins. And unfortunately, if they don't close out series, Fun may be stuck on 1 win the whole time, but they have been competitive. They kept the series close. And I think that is ultimately that's something to build confidence on for a team of that caliber. So Fun, they're going to get that great rating from me.
I love how Jens was like, they get a 5. They failed. They did not get a passing grade. And then he was like, yeah, I agree. They were great. They were great. But yeah, that
is better than good. It's better than good.
That concludes this class. We'll be back probably next week for some more class. So keep your thinking caps on.
Maybe we will align our grading scale.
Perhaps.
I don't think we're moving Jens off this. I'm going to be honest.
I'm good with the numbers too. I'm willing to concede. My system is trash, is what I'm saying.
Now you have to use it in practice. You can see how much it actually sucks. I mean, how good it is.
Yeah, that's what I thought. All right, well, let's move on. Let's move on and let's talk marquee matchups, baby. Listen, you can check the mainstream, but these aren't all mainstream matches. Okay, these are team stream matches. These are off the record matches, but they will, now that we're getting into the meat of the season, have some implications. We're already getting implications for playoffs, for bye weeks early into the season with, you know, the first kind of
Hold up, Michael. Hold up. There's some next up summer standouts here that we need to talk about first.
I did accidentally put that. I thought that was after the segment.
Hold up.
Talk to me, Hans.
Hold up. Now, we have some next up players playing in the Shift Summer League, which is great to see, because you're going to have even some veterans who were playing in the league play era of Rocket League Season 9 and earlier. But you have some really fresh talent coming in. And we have a ranking from the ratings.
Yeah, so basically, we're going to be tracking the 4 Shift next up players in the Shift Summer League weekly throughout the season and into the playoffs, depending on how many qualify for the playoffs. And then the player with the highest Shift rating at the end will be the Shift Summer League standout. Right? So there's only 4. They're going to go up and down every week. They're really, really good players. Obviously, they're here. So, yeah, so why don't you tell us about the current leaderboard after 1 week?
I will tell you. Shall I go from 4 to 1? I think that's only fair.
Yeah.
In 4, we have the Fox. The Riz Fox, the Belgian player who is just under a 1.0 rating with a 0.935. Which, you know, for a rookie on the team, that doesn't mean you are particularly far below average, right? That just means, you know, you're not getting all the points on your team. You're not scoring all the goals. You're not making all the assists, but you can absolutely be a great help on the team. In 3rd, we have Talk with a 1.058 rating. And then in 2nd, I still don't know how to pronounce his name. Metzer?
I just say Mitzer, I hope.
Metzer? With a 1.113. And Tackles tops the leaderboard with 1.196. I mean, that is a rating.
Yeah,
I believe he's also 2nd overall in rating. I'm going to check real quick. I know he's 2nd overall. I don't know who's 1st.
In his region, then perhaps.
I believe in his region. He is 100%. I think because there's one person over him who's just been dominant. I believe it's the guy we just had on. So hopefully.
Toxic.
Yes, Toxic. Isn't Toxic like a 1.3 rating or something? Like he is balling out of his mind. Hold on, let me find it. But yeah, listen, all 3. I mean, listen. I know you said technically 0.935 is under average. But you got to remember, like, there's so many players that or there's not so many players. So that's still like top 25 in the league, top 20 in the league in terms of Europe. So all 4 of the next up candidates really playing well. Even Talk, he's on a 1-5 team, but he's putting up above average numbers. Mm-hmm. And I think that really kind of cements the hype around the player, especially during qualifiers. Like, this kid is the real deal. It wasn't just a 1-event thing. He's still playing at a above average professional level, even with his team not succeeding. I was right. Toxic has a 1.257 rating. He's a dog. But yeah, so shout out to all 4. I'm excited to see this go up and down. It's pretty close. 1 off week and 1 good week will shift the whole thing. I bet you it'll be a completely different ranking next week. So it'll be very cool to see.
Now, Michael, it's time for the marquee matchups.
It's time.
Now we go.
Now we go, and here's what we're going to do. Each of us is going to select one matchup from each region in the upcoming week of the Shift Summer League that we want to kind of highlight and bring some attention to. Jens, would you like to kick us off for NA?
Shall I go from the top?
However you want.
We got one for each hour each day. NA on tomorrow, and then EU the next day. So there's a matchup for you to watch the whole time. There's no reason you shouldn't be watching this thing.
There it is. Ooh, I have some juicy matchups over here. Where shall we go from here? I kind of want to start with EU. Is that naughty of me? Is that naughty? We have a matchup between Luna Galaxy and 100%.
Hey, hold on. Why is it only Luna Galaxy? Yes.
Well, there is something going on here.
Really?
There is. Right now, in week 1, we had Luna Galaxy X Complexity.
Galaxy X Cole, yeah.
X Complexity, as the casters want to put it. But we have a little bit of a change going on.
Uh-oh, breaking news.
This is a little bit of a scoop. Chronic is back.
Whoa!
Rejoin the Luna Galaxy team, which means that it will no longer be X Complexity. We now have a Luna Galaxy team going up against this 100% squad. Nice. So they put in this new old player. Xpera, the coach, brings back a Chronic. They have been a duo for as long as I can remember. And they are looking to challenge the other teams who are very close to them, right? Because we have, after week 1, we have so many teams on this 4 and 2.
Yeah, there's what, 4 or 5 teams? It's half the league.
4 teams.
Yeah.
4 teams. So the numbers 2 until the number 5 in the standings right now are on 4 and 2. With Luna Galaxy, X Complexity last week, now just Luna Galaxy, on top with +6 game differential. But 100% is right behind them with +5. So it's, of course, about the win here. But in long term, just 3 weeks, but long term, and in case of this matchup, you have these teams fighting for a spot in terms of this game differential as well, if they end up being this close after week 2, after week 3. So, yeah, I mean, it's exciting because Luna Galaxy have been looking all right, but 100% have been overperforming, I would say. Would you say that's fair?
Yeah.
So they are up against it right now. I think, Luna Galaxy should still be the favorite. They're coming in with a Chronic who maybe they weren't playing with last week, but it doesn't mean they don't have the chemistry and the synergy to instantly attack whatever they're coming up against. But yeah, 100% really needs to prove it here.
And that match is going to occur at 7 p.m. at CEST. It's going to be the first one, first round of matches there. So, and that is that's going to be on Wednesday, right?
Yeah, that's on Wednesday. All the EU matches that we're going to talk about today are on Wednesday, and all the NA ones are on Tuesday. Yeah.
Well, here we'll talk about the second round matchup. This is on Wednesday, but we got JJ Rocks versus Fake German Amigos. And JJ Rocks had, even if I was using my own, my scale of good, great, amazing, I think we would say bad. I think that's how bad it was. JJ Rocks went 0-6, played really, really poor Rocket League, at least in the series that I watched when they played against Oxygen. I mean, they just struggled. They struggled to generate on offense. They struggled to handle anything on the defensive side. It just looked imbalanced. It looked unfair, really. And Fake German Amigos, on the other hand, are in that top group there that you mentioned, with a 4-2 record. If JJ Rocks is not able to grab some wins either tomorrow or Wednesday, I mean, they are almost certainly solidifying themselves in the bottom 4.
Yeah, that's a tough one, specifically because, like we said, like it seems early in the season, but if they drop even 2 games and they go to 1-8, they would essentially have like maybe 1 life left. Like 9-9 might not be enough to get you in the playoffs, especially with how many teams are on 4-2. And it looks like it's gonna be a very, very top-heavy group where there's gonna be a few teams who lose a lot of games. So they essentially have to win 4 or 5 games this week. And if they lose that first one and they go into this next match and they're 0-7, and like it's gonna be really hard for them to get back up. But listen, they got a major MVP on their team. They got a lot of experience on their team. The reason I'm interested in this because I'm like, you know, there's a lot of veterans in this specific match, right? And to me, it would be very cool to watch, you know, a team that is looking to really establish themselves in that top pack, and a team that is fighting to stay out of elimination before the 3rd week even really starts. I think it'll be important for them to get this win, and I think you're going to see them play really aggressive, and they're going to play really desperate, and I think it'll be good Rocket League.
Michael, talk to us about this final EU match then.
Well, of course I will, because the final one is Oxygen versus Endpoint. We already had a little trash talk on the ShiftCast about 30 minutes ago, saying that he was going to Toxiic said he was going to make sure he guaranteed it that Endpoint was going to get another dub against Oxygen. Now, Oxygen, as Oski said in the chat, is top of the league, 5-1. They should be undefeated probably in their head, and in Hootie's head as well. Yeah. But there was one team that caught him early, hit him with a little right hook, knocked him down early, and they got back up, and they've been stronger ever since, which is important. And that team is Endpoint, who played fantastic. They're 4-2. They got veterans. They got young talent. They're a very, very good team. But I think this match, like I said, it's personal between these players. They're friends. They want to beat each other. That UK Rocket League kind of camaraderie is alive. And, you know, for Endpoint, beating Oxygen twice in a row is about as good as you can get in terms of, hey, we have the confidence. We can win this whole thing. As for Oxygen, it's going to be, we need to come in and beat the brakes off these guys to show them that the real contenders, the team that should be at Worlds, the team that should be playing in all these tournaments, but unfortunately there's only 4 EU spots, even though the 5th one went to an SSA team that shouldn't even been there, that they should be, and they are as good as all those teams. So I'm really ready to see this one. It feels like a heavyweight fight against 2 rivals. I'm loving it. Give me that.
And by that point, they're already over 50% of the regular season. Mm-hmm. They're into the territory where, you know, the scores really start to matter, and you get to see the revenge matchups.
Yep. Well, let's bounce over to the NA side, and these matches are actually going to be tomorrow. So you'll get to catch those tomorrow during the stream. The first one that we want to highlight is Dignitas versus OG, and that is occurring at 7 p.m. Eastern time. That's an exciting one, obviously, you know, partially because of what we just outlined with Dignitas, you know, a couple segments ago, and how impressive they were throughout the first week with the, you know, this iteration with Arsenal, Evo, and Zanil. But they have done so well that with another win or two, you know, they're really going to be in a solid position for the playoff bracket. You know, I don't want to say that they could coast, because I think that is not the right way to frame it. That's a bad idea. But they have given themselves a little bit of a cushion, a little bit of maybe some wiggle room. If they do have a couple slip-ups later in the season, potentially the 3rd week, they should be okay. So a hot start for Dig. If they can continue that here at the beginning of week 2, they'll be in a fantastic position for the playoffs. OG, of course, kind of the inverse. If they do not get a win, they are going to make, you know, qualifying for the playoffs extremely difficult. They have not had the greatest showing. They're currently 2-4 in 8th place, near the bottom. Only Fun and Pirates on a Boat beneath them. A -2 game differential, and thus far, OG has definitely been. They've been underwhelming, I think. So it's a big matchup. Can Dignitas continue the momentum, or can OG maybe turn things around and begin heading the right direction.
That's right. And that's the first round on Tuesday.
Yep.
And then the second round, we see a matchup between Incorrect and Pirates on the Boat, which, no disrespect to either of the teams, but if you look at the rankings right now after week 1, you would expect their positions to be swapped. Because we have Pirates on the Boat in last place with a 1-5 record, -8 game differential. They need to prove something in week 2, or we're not going to see much out of them in week 3. Their playoff chances might as well be over. And then Incorrect, who are this really, starting up or, getting off the ground, but they're a smaller team with not a lot of famous name value behind it.
I don't agree. They have Flitz from
They have
Riddles.
Flitz.
They have Flitz from the Riddles YouTube channel, and they have Wondermike from
Okay, buddy.
RLCS.
You wouldn't say this before last week. Before last week, people were talking about the Flitz tax. Having Flitz on your team, fun,
All right,
entertaining.
guys. What is this Flitz slander?
Hey.
No, I'm just saying before last week.
Back to back. This
You know who
is a
hasn't been to
former
2
guest.
Gamers 8s? Vatira. You know who has been to 2 Gamers 8s?
Yeah, but
Flitz. I just want to talk about that.
I wasn't
okay?
trying to flame Flitz. On the contrary, I was about to say this is someone who really proved himself in the Shift Summer League right now, and his teammate did the same. They're in 6th in the standing after week 1. So I would have expected Incorrect to be towards the lower half of this standings, and Pirates on the Boat being somewhere in the middle. But we see exactly the opposite. So, it's going to be tough for Pirates on the Boat to come back. But if they want to do it, they want to do it right here.
Right, and just to add on to that, Pirates on the Boat just got dropped from their roster. They're probably looking for another org to represent. Not a great look to be coming out and not performing. And you know what's funny though? I think I watched 3 Pirates on a Boat matches, and then I went and looked at the standings, and I was like, they're 1-5. Like they looked fine. It's just that they actually lost a lot of matches, and I was surprised. I actually had them in my predictions finishing 3rd or 4th. So I was like, yeah, they're good.
Yeah.
Apparently they lost 5 game matches.
But it's a make or break week for them, because this first round before the game against Incorrect, Pirates on the Boats are playing Gen G, which they're not really expected to win. So if they lose there, they are suddenly struggling 1-6, and they have to play against Incorrect, who have been able to upset larger teams than them. Yeah. So,
and if Incorrect's at 4-4 after that, they're right in the middle at almost the halfway point. They're right in the middle of the playoff race, and they can really push from there.
Absolutely.
So I'm sure everyone watching this, the thousands of people who watch ShiftCast every week, thought that we were going to cover Gen G versus G2. Boring, lame. We've seen that 5,000 times. I'm bored of it. But you know what I'm not
make a note that has not been boring for Michael, while Gen G was successful and had a good record over G2, but now it has become boring.
Boring.
Rub it in.
I can't hear you. But you know it's not boring to me? Gen G Space Station. You know why? Because for the whole season, Space Station was a punching bag for G2 and Gen G. Yeah, they were just get up, get back up for 8 months. And then all of a sudden, the magic of the Summer League. G2 falls to Space Station. SSG finally beat Space Station, and now SSG are top of the league. So what I'm interested most to see is this matchup is SSG for real? Are they going to beat Gen G? Are they going to beat both teams? Because that's going to do wonders for your confidence going into LAN. Hey, we can beat the 2 best teams in our region, and we're currently from the region that the major winner's from. Why can't we beat Furia? Or we already beat Furia. I don't know why I said that. We already beat Furia too. Why can't we beat Falcons? Why can't we beat Vitality? Why can't we? I mean, we could smoke Army Corps. They're nothing. We could beat Gentlemates, maybe. Probably not.
They looked great at the last major.
Yeah, and so it's like for me, Gen G, they'll do whatever in this. They'll probably still make top 2 because it's an NA event. But for me, this is more of a moral match for Space Station Gaming of hey, if we can beat anybody, if we can beat 3 of the top 7 teams in the world, why can't we beat the other 4?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So I think it's really big for them, and I'm excited to see them really give it their all. I think they're going to take this super seriously.
So there are some of the matches that we wanted to highlight before we move into week number 2. Y'all be sure to tune in right here on this channel. If you are watching the stream and you are not followed, click the follow button right now. If you catch this VOD on YouTube, pop over to Twitch. It's twitch.tv/ShiftRLE. Make sure you follow
I'm so looking forward to
catch all the Shift Summer League action.
I'm looking forward to it so much. You know, Hoodie, you'll be hosting the NA portion of the league. And as you all know, we have Spaceman and Corelli casting that. And with Spaceman on the broadcast,
Legend.
You know, maybe, you know, you'll get some special Spaceman segments.
Some shenanigans, I'm sure, with those guys. Well, let's do this. We've got our off-season roundup, a couple more segments before we close out today. We wanted to make sure that even though RLCS is not active at the moment, we keep you all up to date with what's going on around the scene. And the big one, I think, is Nupo joins Twisted Minds. Now, this caused some questions last week, you know, on my stream, or I saw it on Twitter as well. People were asking, can he still play for anything at Worlds? And the answer is yes. Anything is not an organization, and RLCS really just doesn't care about what team you're affiliated with. What they care about is the 3 players that played the last regionals in Split 2 are the 3 players that will be playing at Worlds. Or
I will say, though,
3 and a sub, right?
He will probably wear a Twisted Minds jersey on stage, just so you guys know.
He might wear a Twisted Minds jersey, but he will be with anything. And what Michael's basically alluding to there is, since anything is not an org, there's no org conflict. You know, it's not like Twisted Minds and G2 are 2 different. You know, it's not any problem in any front. So Nupo will be playing with his former squad at the World Championship, and then every other event he will now be playing with Twisted Minds in place of Ahmad. So I think that is
that confirmed? I actually don't know. Are they going to try out different iterations of the roster, or is Ahmad?
I don't know. That's a good question.
Move forward. I didn't see anything about like them saying thank you, Ahmad. That's what my thing was. So I was like, are they going to see with Mawson, or is there like an issue because of how things ended on Rule 1?
Ahmad sent out his retirement.
Oh my God.
So I'm sure that he is not playing. Me. But they may still be trying out.
You guys need to bring on Bel Air full time.
They may still be trying out the different iterations of the roster.
Michael, this is what happens when you fly over to Berlin to go see the Euros finals.
Oh, hey, we'll cut him some slack. Dude. He's had a week off. We're easing him back into it. Either way, Nupo playing alongside Twisted Minds at the moment. But hey, it's a fair question. It's off season. They've got the freedom to change things around, and maybe they will be trying some different stuff out. But that is the big one at the moment. Now, former Team Rock, and I actually will just be honest, I didn't catch this. Was Team Rock an org?
Yeah, right. They're like a small.
They were an org.
I believe so. They had like a role
too, but I wasn't sure. So the young ones were released from Team Rock.
Yeah,
now they have signed with Vision Esports, who has been a consistent representative in the Middle East. They have picked up a few different teams, but that Vision Esports org remains committed to RLCS and MENA, and they picked up the young talents on Team Rock, which I think is a great play moving forward.
Yeah, I mean, this is the MENA thing. Once a year, you find 3 players, right, that are really young and really good. And then in about a year and a half's time, they take over for the team that's currently winning all the regionals. So good job by Vision. You can say they had the vision that Rule 1 did, picking up the Twins and Mawson. So I'm sure, I can't wait to see Team Falcons 2026, Dr. Nush, Ops, and TRK. It'll be fantastic. Did I say? I think I messed up their names again. Man, I am not having a good segment. But anyway, doesn't matter. Fantastic. Love to see more young talent coming out of these emerging regions.
Yeah.
We see it in Sam with Swift and Diaz. We're now seeing these guys. MENA, long history of bringing up these elite talents, top flight talents to compete with the best in the world. And it's cool to see another team entering the entering the ecosystem.
Yeah, I don't know if it's a straight upgrade for Vision Esports from their previous roster. If Sezonix, Twist, Town, I mean, they were already a decent team in MENA, but Dr. No, Ops, and Nush have so much potential to go off.
That's right.
That they can grow into a much stronger team than they were in the regular season of RLCS 2024. Totally. Shout out to N3 on the substitute position on that roster. It's a former ShiftCast.
Don't ask why he's former. That's all I gotta say.
Well, listen, we've talked about some rosters and some orgs and stuff like that, but there's another big announcement that was revealed the last week. Flip and Spin, the LAN will return to the Paris Games Week. Do you guys, have they announced much information about that, or just the fact that it will exist?
They have announced some information. There will be 4 invited teams.
Okay.
Which teams?
Can you guess which ones?
Well, I mean, you can take a guess. They're not announced yet.
Paris Games Week, I wonder who.
If you go to shiftrle.gg, there's an article with all the available information in there. They released a banger trailer for it. Their art style is so cool. They're sticking with the same art direction and the same artist as they did last year, which is very unconventional for an esports event. Like the way they do it is very artsy. It's like this comic style. Very cool. I mean, last year it was Moist, Vitality, KC, and BDS really going for it, right? In the top 4. They will be bringing back the same format, not the same teams, obviously, because Moist Esports is not around in Europe. But they will again host the semifinals and the grand finals at a stage at the Paris Games Week, and I hope to be there again. I was there last year as well. The Paris Games Week is just a week-long event with all the big, game developers, which doesn't have a lot to do with the esports, to be honest. There's Nintendo and there's Sega and there's everything you can imagine. But they have a stage a little bit in the back, but pretty big audience where you can host this kind of thing. And obviously they're trying to bring back the 4 teams, the 4 French teams, because they want them to play in Paris. I also saw that there is supposed to be a Rising League finals from Rocket Baguette tournament at Paris Games Week. That is planned for the Sunday, while this is planned for the Friday. That's the 25th and the 27th of October, if I'm not mistaken. But I was talking to Boyan from Rocket Baguette, and he didn't know where Wikipedia had that information from, that it was the 27th on the Paris Games Week. So not confirmed, I guess.
And there's also going to be some open qualifiers, so it won't be just the 4 invited teams. I believe I believe that there will be an online portion that leads to the semifinal.
That's right. It's the same as last year.
Yeah, which, you know what, I would like to see a little bit more, but I'm not going to complain. I do think there is, maybe it's just because I went, there is a part of me that wants Flip and Spin to be like the Euros of Rocket League. Like, you have all these European teams going to big open qualifier, and maybe you have an online group stage, and then you send the top 8 teams to maybe a 2-day event in Paris, and it's just like a celebration of European Rocket League. But I also understand that I'm sure it takes a lot of money and a lot of planning.
Yeah, it's not set up like that. It's just one stage at a convention, which is really cool. And there were a lot of fans from the esports organization, from KC and everything last time out when they won with Noli on the roster.
Mm-hmm. But yeah,
I expect the same now. There's a couple of things that they haven't announced yet, like the invited teams and like the prize pool, which if you've been following the conversation about financial situations of tournament organizers, you might understand what that means. And they're just trying to run back the event like they did last year and trying to put on a good show. So I'm hopefully going to be there for Shift with the press as well, and try to get some interviews, try to cover it for Shift as well.
How far is France from you?
Well, I actually came back today. I was in Paris this morning because my girlfriend lives there. I had to get.
I was in Paris this morning.
Yeah.
You know where I was this morning? East York.
There you go, East York. That's in Yorkshire, England, isn't it?
No, it's in Toronto, Ontario, Canada. And
that's a bummer.
And there's a lot of traffic.
That's a bummer. No,
wait, how far of a train ride is it?
Well, the Eurostar, it is called now. It was Thalys, is the high-speed train that goes directly from Amsterdam, basically, to Paris. I usually get on in Brussels, even though I live in Antwerp, and it does stop in Antwerp too. So it takes about 2 hours from 2 hours 15 minutes from Brussels. So let's say 2.5 hours, more or less. I still need to take 50 minutes train to Brussels usually. So let's say in 3 hours, I'm absolutely there.
Nice.
So,
that's easy. That's super easy.
Pretty
Especially
good.
if you're not driving. You can just
No, it's great. The only thing is that it's not like regular train tickets. So if you book them less than a month and a half, 2 months in advance, they get really pricey.
Quite expensive. That makes sense.
But if I'm a month and a half, 2 months in advance, I can get like a return trip for 100 euros, more or less.
That's the same with the Canadian rail system, the Via Rail. It's like $100 if you plan to really get from Toronto to Montreal, which is like 6 hours.
So yeah, pretty good for me. And I already have a place to stay in Paris, so that's even better.
You have a horrible life.
I'm on a flexing streak right here.
Well, listen, that's gonna close up the offseason roundup. Just a reminder or refresh: Nupo, Twisted Minds, Team Rock is now under Vision Esports, and of course, as we were just discussing, Flip and Spin returns. Exciting stuff still unfolding. I'm sure we'll have some more news for you next week. We got our final segment here, speed taking. And let's just jump right into it. We've got the first take from Owen, and I'm going to throw this over to Michael. LJ is the most talented player to ever play for Space Station Gaming.
Who said this? Owen? Blasphemy. Blasphemy, I say. Blasphemy. Come on, guys. How quickly we forget. This is how bad things happen when we forget our history, because history always repeats itself. Okay. And 2 years ago, I was told that Daniel was the best player to ever play for Space Station. Now I'm telling that LJ, and they're fantastic all-time legendary players, but they're not Sypical. They're just not Sypical. Okay. Sypical changed North American Rocket League. He was the original slow play, mechanical, third man. He had glue on his car, guys. He allowed Mr. Robert Chrome Gomez to craft a style around him that never works anymore, but it worked with him because he was that special. And they won everything online for like 3 months. And his worst, in the absolute twilight of his career, he was a major finalist. Okay. He made how many top 4 top fours on LAN. Okay. And Space Station, 5 top fours on LAN, 1 with Space Station. What Sypical did in North America from about season 8 to the end of season X is something in terms of pure individual ability that nobody can really say they've ever done, bar 6 or 7 players. He doesn't have the accolades because his prime, unfortunately, lined up with the global pandemic. But if that never happened, I think we're talking about Sypical like we talk about Atomic, like we talk about Garrett G, all these all-time guys who got to the pinnacle. He was absolutely as good as them. And until LJ can show me a top 4 on LAN, he's not better than Sypical, and he can't be until he gets me to a championship Sunday on a LAN.
Okay.
And
there you have it. And scene. Okay. Owen, you have been shot down, my friend. Sorry. We've got take number 2 from Koozy. Qoozy. I like that. Yins, Blast needs to produce an all-time great RLCS 2025 or the esport will die.
Okay. I'll first give you a fake answer and then I'll give you the real answer.
Okay.
All right. No, because Rocket League Esports will never die. All right.
Good one. That's a good one.
Yeah, you heard it. Okay, now we get to the real answer. Yes, absolutely they do. Oh yeah, they do. Of course, the first answer is not completely wrong. Rocket League Esports will always be around, but in what form? And if we want to have it be the product that it is today and grow it even more into the potentially tier 1 esports that we can all imagine it could be, then absolutely do they need to get their stuff together this year, next year. The organization needs to be this year to make it bang next year, because I can even excuse having a LAN outside of France for the World's Finals. I mean, almost inexcusable. But I can let it slip. But the format needs to be better. And I've heard that maybe there aren't that many changes to come, at least not next year. But I know that, and this is, I mean, the org owners have talked about this. People like, or organizations like Garmin Corp are talking to the team organizers, talking to the tournament organizers about the format, about what's going on in rlcs. Because KC has had it the worst. They felt the most what this format can do to a team like KC. They want to know that they are investing in something that's worth investing in, which is not the case at the moment. I think that's very clear to say. I'm not saying anything new here. They need to know that their investment is taken seriously and they get something in return. And that something is a good format, a good circuit, a good rlcs 2025.
Yeah, I think all-time great is a little bit much, but I think RLCS to me right now feels very directionless. It's just put the tournaments on and see what happens. I think the most important thing for next year for Blast is establish a clear direction. Where are we going? Are we going towards a completely open circuit where anyone can win any day, or are we going to move back towards stability? And listen, if you have a plan for either, I would prefer the latter. But if you have a plan for the other, super open stuff, at least let's do that right. Let's have 1 million LANs. Let's have it just show up. We'll just put it on a convention. Just show up and play on the PCs until someone wins. But if you want to do it smart and you want to do org security and all that good stuff, let's start moving towards that. Let's start moving towards that pseudo franchising or that super duper auto qual. Like,
I mean, there are a lot of options out there in terms of formats, but also in terms of solving the issues at hand. It doesn't even need to be fixed by the format right this coming season, right? They can get away with only small changes to the format from rlcs 2024 if they can give a roadmap for what's to come, what kind of changes they will make into the season's next what they're actually going to do in the long term, because those organizations that they want to keep into the esports, if they want the esports to flourish, are looking for that long term. They are not looking for the best rlcs 2025, the all-time great season. No, they're looking that for their investments to be worth something.
Roadmap, huh?
A roadmap or some kind of, way of getting
communication.
Yeah, but also I'm thinking like maybe overhauling org items like the decals completely, like changing the way fans and everyone playing the game can support the organizations. There needs to be something for organizations that is not there currently.
Sure.
For them to stick around.
Yeah.
Whatever that is, there really are a multitude of options here.
Yep.
All right, well, Hootie, now that we're done with serious talk, let's have some fun, okay? Let's talk about South America. Mop says both Diaz and Swift will make a LAN next season. Doesn't say from where, but they'll be there.
In classic fence-sitting fashion.
God.
Oh my God.
Somebody get this guy out of here, man. You know what? Skip Bayless.
Hold on. Let me give you an answer, then you can get mad. If they end up on the same team, they make both.
Ooh, okay.
If they are still on separate teams, I think only one will make it a LAN. Because I just don't see Furia missing.
Okay.
And I think one spot is extremely competitive. We've seen throughout this back half of the season in Sam. I mean, Complexity's a good team, and they just weren't there. You know, it's going to be just as difficult next season. So I think, if they can join forces, I really like those. I really like those names. I think this season was probably some really valuable experience. So if they can join forces, maybe alongside Razebull, something along those lines, and maybe we could see it happen.
Damn, you really get the expectations low with that fence sitting going, because that's not a half bad take.
It's not bad, right? That's not, but it is kind of a half and half answer.
If they expand the format, maybe. No.
Not a half bad answer.
I want to give you one. I want to give you a take. This one's from Vesper, Jens. One of the invited North American Shift Summer League teams will miss the playoffs.
Is that for?
It's for Jens.
Okay.
One of the invited Shift Summer League teams will miss it. Oh, right. Okay, the player. Yeah. So that is... Let me get back to this.
It's RMC, Shopify, OGSS.
Yeah, RMC is in there. Yeah. Okay. Currently, Shopify Rebellion, who were invited, right? Yep, they were, are looking the weakest. But I can see... What?
OG.
Oh, OG is in there. Oh my god. Forgot we invited them. No,
what are they doing here?
They are
those guys.
Honestly, OG, who did they have to play? They lost to Gen G, which, I mean, it's this Gen G, but it's still, that's not a terrible loss.
Relax.
Sorry?
Relax.
They're kind of looking on the same level as RMC still, even though Red Hills Magic G's are looking better in the standings.
They got reverse swept by RMC too. They were up to nothing.
Oh yeah, right. Yeah. And they barely lose to Space Station Gaming. It's like a 1 goal difference on Champions Field, and 2 overtimes. So I don't think OG is looking that bad. I think that, I think that Shopify Rebellion, even though they're above OG in the standings, are
without potentially their worst player.
I mean, but
excuse me.
Sorry, a third of their season is gone.
Yeah, well, that means they have 2/3 and are already in a better position than OG.
They're 500. They're about to get 2-piece back.
I'm just lost with the logic.
Okay, question for you guys. If, let's say, Shopify do come out and they go like 1-5, do they put memory back in?
No.
No. Are they like, Unk, we need you?
No.
Either way, whether it's OG or Shopify Rebellion, there are multiple teams looking on the brink of losing out on that playoff spot.
Yeah.
So that one of them isn't going to make it is not a certainty, but a very, very good possibility, I would say.
Yeah, if Dig keeps playing the way they're playing, one of those teams is going to miss out because there's only 6 spots.
I see what Michael's done.
What did I do?
He has cooked this up in a way where I deliver this next take for him to
No.
I can deliver it.
You guys do this all the time, where like a take that like is kind of generally something I might bring up comes out, and you're like, "Oh well, look who once again is." It's like, I'm not thinking about this. I'm thinking about how I can educate and entertain our audience.
This is a take from Igorous.
This is ridiculous.
First Killer is the only world-class player on Gen G.
No. What is happening to people? What's wrong with people nowadays? This is what's wrong with society. Like, you don't make top 8 on LAN twice with one world-class player. You don't. It just doesn't happen at this in this sort of climate of Rocket League. Like, apparently Jack has been an elite talent in this game for 3 years. Why would, because they got, they had a season that was exactly the same as BDS. Now they only have one world-class player. How does that make any sense? They won 2 events. They came top 8 on LAN twice. BDS does it. Oh man, we can win a championship. We don't know. Maybe they'll do this. And now all of a sudden we're hating on Jack because his team did exactly as well as Monkey Moon's team did. Like, give me a break, okay? This is a good team with good players. That's not even...
We are hating. I mean, this take got 8 upvotes and 35 downvotes, but
I don't even look at that when I do this. I just look at the ones that some of them are so bad. It's just like, OJ is good at the game. And it's like, I got to find some, like have some sort of merit point. I don't know. But anyway, I'll end it off with giving one a hoodie. Speaking of memory, week 1 MVP, coach, beast mode teammate. This one's from GC. Memory is one of the most underrated players in RLCS history.
I'm going to say yes on 2 accounts.
Oh my God.
Number 1, longevity. This is a player that I don't think people realize how long he's been at the top. And I know that he has been retired now for, I guess, 1 season, 2 seasons? But he was around in season 2, 3? Like very, very, very early on. And so for him to remain relevant and continue to play professionally into the open circuit era is something that very few players accomplished. So on the longevity front, absolutely. Secondarily, and more importantly, this guy accelerates with his stick like Rizzo.
Wait, actually?
If you play the game like that and you're a professional, you're a freaking GOAT. That's just
that makes so much
line.
sense, actually. He kind of plays like Rizzo.
If you are accelerating with your left stick and braking, you are a legend. I don't know how you can be a professional like that.
That's crazy. Can I say that I think he's kind of fairly rated? I think everyone likes Memory, but he never made a LAN. And for most of the last 2 years of his career, he was like right in that, like, am I going to make a regional close qual area? I feel like it's not. I think it's fair to say he's pretty well rated. People respect him. People think he was good.
Hey, but guy, but that's not near as fun as talking about his longevity and his fun controller.
Well, like, I've been playing the game. I mean, I don't really play Rocket League anymore, but I've been playing Rocket League for 5 years. You're gonna say I'm underrated because of my longevity?
At what level, Michael? At what level are you playing at?
How long
level are you playing at for the last 5 years?
Well, I was pretty good when I was in college. That's all I'll say.
Okay. Give me.
I won a couple. Maybe one day we'll share this on the ShiftCast.
Maybe a rank? Could you shout that out? What rank?
I don't really pay attention to that stuff.
Maybe,
I remember.
Diamond?
No, come on, bro. Come on.
Of course it's not.
No, there's a great video.
It's a good rank if you want to share.
There's a great video of me when I used to play college. I was the sub for the college, my university's Rocket League team, and then one of the kids quit like 2 weeks in.
What was the team called? Plat Rats?
No, we were the Queen's University Rocket League team. Okay, we were in a college league, and we played St. Clair's College, which is a really good. They're like a CRL level team, and they have like a broadcast and everything. And we lost 6-1, 7-1, 8-1.
Nice.
But I scored in all 3 games, and they were going wild for me. My in-game name at that point was Cuppy of Wadi. And every time I go up, they'd be like, Cuppy's got the ball. Cuppy's got the ball. Let's go. I hit a clip too. If I can find it, I went off the sidewall thing and I hit it. And I was screaming in the comms and my teammates were like, yeah, it's like 5-1, dude. And I was like, let's go.
It's a meme.
If I can find it, the video, it's somewhere on there. They have like 1 million VODs. I will send it to you guys. You'll see they were going crazy for Cuppy of Wadi. I was going nuts. Anyway, I don't know why I went on that big tangent, but I love telling that story.
All to spam their memories name.
You're also fairly rated for the last 5 years.
Yeah. Nobody check my RL. You'll never be able to find my RL tracker.
All right.
Now we're gonna find it.
That is that's the final take there for speed taking. Look, if y'all want to drop some takes, join the Shift Cord We'll have a link below in the description. Of course, there's a link below on the Twitch channel as well. Now, make sure that you're followed on the Twitch channel. We're broadcasting all the Shift Summer League matches here on Shift RLE. You can check that out on twitch.tv. And folks, that's it for today. We have finished ShiftCast episode 25. Geez. Cuppy of Wadi, any closing thoughts?
Yeah. I saw Long Legs yesterday, the horror movie. Do not go see that movie. I was so scared, dude. It was a scary movie.
I think that's
SSL tomorrow. SSL tomorrow. Make sure you're there. Get popcorn. You can Uber Eats actually popcorn from your local theater. I learned that recently.
That's great.
Who's going to be hosting with Spaceman and Corelli?
Or you can just pop it into the microwave.
But it's not the same.
If you're
That's not
a
the same.
lame loser, like, come on, dude. You're going to pop it on the stove? Like, come on.
I might.
Anyway, yeah, it's good to be back. Hopefully I'll stop missing.
What's the best popcorn flavor, though?
I don't know.
Salt or
Butter,
sugar?
baby. Douse it.
We don't do sugar popcorn in the real world.
I like
We
I like
just do
kettle corn. You
soda
like
sugar.
kettle corn?
No, I love the cheese one. The cheese one is great.
No, you have way more
Cheese
flavors than we do.
Yeah, we have like this one where it's like cheese caramel. It's like half of them are cheese and half of them are caramel.
I already regret starting this discussion. Anyway, on twitch.tv and on YouTube, we will be live on Tuesdays and Wednesdays. Both. So Hoodie will be in two places at once. He's just like that. He's just a dog in him.
He's everywhere.
As well as this podcast will be going on to YouTube as well. So see you there, subscribe, and all that.
That's right, folks. We'll catch you there. Thank you for tuning in. See you next time.